not the only time that this has happened. It's happened on numerous occasions before, in which, for example, 6 Western tourists were abducted. Then Indian army knew where they were and they could have freed them. However, what does the literature say? What do the 2 British writers that covered this say? That it was done by design. They left them and said, you know what? We could have extracted them earlier, but we left them so Pakistan would have a negative world press. So this is just one example of many where India has leveraged such notions, such attacks. Why? To further the divide, because we all know the talking points for the current BJP government is cows, is Muslims and Pakistanis. Cows is a bit old. Muslims, they tried it with the Waqf bill. And thirdly, it leaves the Pakistanis. And Modi wants the votes, and Pakistan is the easy divider. There is no evidence that Pakistan was involved. However, 98% of the Indian media is pushing this notion forward. Pakistan was involved. They were involved. It was all Hindus that were killed. That's false. One of the person was indeed a Muslim. Sayyid Adil Hussain. He was a Muslim. And you know what he did? He tried to stop the attacker and he was killed, protecting and helping. There were other Kashmiris that the survivors, they went there and they helped the survivors. They helped to such a degree. One of the survivors actually says, and she addresses them as my brothers. And even when you look initially, this is a very basic reading of history saying, oh no, they wanted to be part of India. No, it's because there was a group that caused, that went in to Kashmir, and because of that, the ruler panicked, and then he asked for Indian help. And then one of the conditions India said was, you have to agree to join us. So it was done under duress. It was not done under proper judicial review. So that's why the plebiscite is exactly what Pakistan is, exactly what Kashmiris want. However, whenever it happens...
Love bacon? Well, this is the offer for you. For a limited time, you can get 10 free boxes of bacon.
India blocks it. For some odd reason, they don't want a plebiscite. They don't want a referendum. They don't want the people to decide. This is something that's been put forward. But why is it that you're not letting the people, if they want their own Kashmir, let them have their own Kashmir? We're not saying if you got a problem with Pakistan, forget Pakistan. But Kashmir wants freedom. It wants to be out of military rule, which has been imposed on them since about 1947. And the few examples that I've given, you go on and on. The Sopore massacre, the Bij, just give me another 20 seconds. The Bij Bihara massacre, the Bomai killing, the Makil fake encounter. You know what the Makil fake encounter was? The Makil fake encounter was 2 Kashmiris were killed and the Indian army blamed Pakistan. You know who it was? It was their own people that killed it. It's actually called the Makil fake encounter. So there's been many false flags and fake encounters. That's why, based upon the current evidence, people are saying this also has the smells of a false flag.
Right, here we go again. You see, in the Taj Mahal attacks in Mumbai, which bears the scar of Pakistan-inspired terrorism against India. Shalini, can you be quiet for a minute? Can I pause for Shalini? She's just too much.
Is she with you? Or?
No, she's not with me. I don't associate with her at all. Shalini, can you give me a minute, please? Thank you. Right, that's with Ash. Go and see him. Mike, go and see Ash. Right. He's got the Israeli flag. Right, listen, what happened? Oh, it's just Shalini being rude. Shalini is a bobite and is very rude.
She's probably happy about that flag, isn't it?
Well, she might be, but the thing is, everyone should be happy about this flag because there are many people in Pakistan who never wanted a Pakistan in the first place. There are many people in Pakistan who wish there was one country. Because, as you know, this goes a long way back. Because at partition, both sides were doing bad things to each other. There were trains arriving into India full of dead people because of terrorism against Hindus on the Pakistan side. So many people in Pakistan do not want Pakistan to exist. They want a fully united India. Now, when you talk about there being a plebiscite, you cannot have a plebiscite or a referendum when half of Kashmir is illegally occupied by Pakistan. Now, I will just say to you, Zeshan, if you say anything, you are on my camera, I'm on your vastly superior camera, it will be fact-checked by people. But it is a fact that when I worked in India, that the big boss was, to the best of my knowledge, a Hindu. But the deputy was a Bori Muslim, and he was a great guy. I was working in a very tolerant employer. And I noticed that sometimes people would eat meat in the canteen, which was called vegetarian, excuse me. My friend here has asked to come in, and it's up to you whether you talk to Ravi or not. No, that's your prerogative. But he is telling me that what you are saying is not true. Now, the fact again is that this is not anything that is anti-Muslim. It was clear that there was one Muslim who agreed the attack was wrong because you should never have people like there was in Kenya ask you to recite a prayer, and if you can't, you are shot dead. My channel of Laser 58 and Laser News Essex believes in religious freedom and that this will be fact-checked. Now, India, I'll go back to the occupation. India has to keep law and order in Kashmir. India has to deal with the fact that Pakistan infiltrates through the line of control, sending terrorists into Kashmir. Now, I stand with Margaret Thatcher. I stand with anyone who you must always condemn terrorism. It is why I invite you to condemn the terrorist atrocity by Hamas against Israel. Now, I have brought Israel and India together because they are two democracies. They have elected their governments, and I would invite you you've clearly condemned the Kashmir attack. You've clearly condemned the person who's done it, but I think you are making incorrect claims over where the attacker come from. But it is absolutely clear that Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th, 23, and yet you will not condemn that, and I will let you speak.
All right, so his argument was some people didn't want Pakistan. So some people think that they're a chocolate biscuit. Well, that's a non-point. So some people didn't want Pakistan. There is a Pakistan. There is a Kashmir. What does that mean? That every year you can start carrying out massacres? Yeah, massacres that have been documented by United Nations, Amnesty International, that they have given you the names. You can indeed fact check them. You can indeed check them out. That's a non-point. I don't really understand what that point was. Secondly, he talked about the Mumbai attacks. Let me tell you about the Mumbai attacks, in which there's a police superintendent. And I want you to check out his name. And his name is Deputy Superintendent of Police, Davinder Singh. And Davinder Singh is somebody who was involved in the 2001 Parliament attack, 2005 Gurgaon incident, and the 2020 arrest as well. This is a guy who was part of the establishment. What was he doing in all of these scenes? It seems like they want to disrupt and blame Pakistan. Why? Because they want that land. Why? So they have this extremist Hindu nationalist government back in, driving India back into a hole. And you're absolutely right. We want India to do well. We like India, but we don't like its actions when it comes to Kashmir, the military rule that has been oppressing Kashmiris since 1948. Secondly, you're talking about some next man on the side saying he disagrees with what I said. I couldn't give a toss, mate. Give me evidence. I'm giving you names, I'm giving you dates. You give me names and dates as well. Let's talk about evidence.
I tell you what, I'll send a video of this to Basu, right? I'll send him a video and I'll say this. Who the hell is Basu? Well, I'll tell you in a minute. Are we doing timed or what? You can't believe every single intelligence report. But the fact is that the perpetrator of the Taj Mahal attack came on a boat and attacked the Taj Mahal hotel, which, if you know Mumbai like I do, is on the seafront. Now, This attacker, I think, made a lot of false claims. This attacker was from Pakistan and had links to the Pakistan authorities. Now, I'm actually feeling very sad because I know that I have been around people who were personally affected by that act of terror which came from Pakistan. Now, I do not want to hear you talk about what the referendum which was planned for Kashmir would be, because it was the Pakistani army which illegally invaded Kashmir. So you cannot now have a fair referendum in Kashmir when Pakistan has gone into Kashmir, has ethnically cleansed Kashmir. If you look at the census data, Pakistan is now nearly a 90% Muslim country. It is a fact that India will offer asylum to people from Pakistan who are being persecuted. It is a fact that I am not blind, deaf and dumb. It is a fact that I know Mumbai very well. There were Muslim areas. And can you stop interrupting? You are actually not intelligent. This man clearly has, because he's twisting the facts left, right and centre. Some idiot has gone and taken... Well, here we go again. This again is very small-mindedness. You will never defeat India. India is a country where Hindus and Muslims live together. India is a country where in Mumbai I lived for 5 years. That has sent me a bit crazy, but I would rather be in Mumbai than in London because it is a safe city. It is a city where Muslims and Hindus live together. It is a country where the most famous Bollywood actor is Shah Rukh Khan. He's a great actor. And I think the guy who was in Rustam is also, no, I think he's a Hindu. But there is no difference between Hindu. You can be You do agree you can be fact-checked?
Yeah. What did you say
just
is
keep talking. I don't want to interrupt again.
No problem. I want to clarify.
I've got 10,000 times more respect for you than Bob.
How much is the population of Muslims in Kashmir?
I don't know. You look it up.
Then you say it's
you can
like
look it
90%.
Up. But the point I was making...
What did you say it was?
Right, the point I was making, sir, is that because Pakistan illegally occupies...
What number did you give? I want the number.
It doesn't matter about numbers.
It does, because I'm going to respond to it.
It does, because
okay, I'm
now
talk, yeah?
there is a very difficult problem in Kashmir.
You're not answering my point.
I am answering your question.
Let me answer.
I am
okay.
answering your question.
So I wanted him to clarify what percentage he said of Kashmir is Muslim. He's saying it doesn't matter, but he's already made that point. I'm going to assume he said 90%. I could be wrong. I don't recall what he said, but that's incorrect. 70% of Kashmir is actually Muslim, according to a Pew 2011 census. It's not 90%. That's false. Number two, he's saying India is saying Pakistan is coming over the border. India is saying this, Pakistan is coming over. It's only India that keeps saying this. And we know from the Makil fake encounter of 2010 that India has been proven to lie again and again and again. There's not independent reviews done. Even Amnesty International, look at the UN report that came out less than a decade ago. All of these point towards India falsifying evidence, them not doing due process in their courts. However, we just have to take India, the occupying power's word for it. Why? Because he's been to India and he's lived in India. That's why we have to give a flying monkeys about India. I don't care how long you've lived in India. I care about the facts. And then the Taj Mahal attack that took place, everyone, including the beggars outside, knew when the attack would be taking place and the details of the attack. He's saying loads of news of attacks come, but this was an attack that they were preparing for. Drills were being done, but yet the attack still took place. How can you dismiss that level of evidence where even the Taj Mahal Hotel knew about this? Why? Because this has been used numerous times. When an aeroplane was hijacked, one of the superintendents, one of the army guys was actually telling the Prime Minister Vajpayee, you know what he was telling him? It's timed, brother. This is timed, brother. This is timed, brother. This is timed. So he was telling the Prime Minister Vajpayee that, you know what, we should allow them to blow it up. Why? So we can blame the Pakistanis. This didn't eventually take place. But look at the mentality over here. What? Let the terrorists blow up Indians? Thank God for Vajpayee that he didn't allow this. But this is what we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. We're dealing with an occupying force that has been oppressing this group of people. And just go on YouTube and look at the marches. Listen to the slogans that they are saying. Don't take my word for it. He's talking about illegal settlements and Pakistan has taken. What a load of tosh. There's no evidence for this. There's no research that he's given. Oh, just take the word of some Indian guy called Patel and Singh. No, we want credible evidence and we want proof. Brother, this is not a Shia-Sunni debate. Brother, why? We're doing an India-Pakistan debate. Brother, maybe later. I'm in the middle of a debate, brother. Astaghfirullah, who's this guy, bro? Brother, I'm in the middle of a debate. What's up? You want me to debate about some Shia thing? Muslims are being killed in India, in Kashmir. Astaghfirullah. Shame on you, brother. Get lost. Your turn. Get lost, bro. Get out of my face. Astaghfirullah. Muslims dying. He's talking about. Get lost. Sorry, brother. Carry on. Your time. You want to start? You want to start?
I'll just wait for him to go.
You don't want to talk about them, do you? I thought so.
I'm in the middle of a debate.
I'm the donut.
Yes.
I'm the donut.
Your donut with sprinkles on it. And some jelly babies as well.
You're a small man.
I'm small. You're the big man. Bye-bye.
You're actually a small guy.
I am very small. And I'm very scared. If I'm a small man, why do you want me to debate over there from such a small... Oh, you want to do it for the people. No problem. I'm a coward. I'm small. Bye off you, Pop. Don't got lost. Astaghfirullah.
Anyway.
Go, you go. Off you, bro. Off you go. I mean, get lost. What, as if that isn't rude? Oh, no. He's got me, ladies and gentlemen. He's got me.
I'll just wait for this little fracas to go. Don't worry, it's video. What I can say is that Zeshan here, can you be quiet, please? Both. What he has just said on camera.
Hello, Canada. We have thousands of students that we have taught how to sell on Amazon that live in Canada.
Is that somehow the government of India intentionally allowed the slaughter of innocent men, women and children by a terrorist to happen. I think that is a terrible accusation. I think that is awful and and that is something which the viewers should go and fact check. Because I happen to know for a fact that I am almost 100% likely to have come across people who had suffered losses because of that atrocity. So how dare he insult the elected government of India for somehow allowing its own citizens to be killed? Let me explain what the international law is in Kashmir. International law says that the ruler of Kashmir appealed to India for help, that the ruler of Kashmir was quite willing to hold a plebiscite, which the British would know as a referendum, and then the Pakistani army illegally occupied. Now, as soon as that happens in international law, you have a big problem. It's a bit like if you had another vote to, say, rejoin the EU, but France invaded London and then kicked out anyone who wanted to rejoin. The problem now in international law, and I am 100% sure, is that the Indian government does not recognize that a fair referendum can now take place. And the other thing is, the big difference between India and Pakistan is something which Mrs. Thatcher would tell you, is that India, whether you like it or not, is a democracy. And that the people of India have elected Narendra Modi as their Prime Minister. Now can you stop interrupting? And so the Indian government, to preserve security, has taken control over Kashmir, which, given the fact that India, I would like to finish, India is a federal state. Now, the question I would put back is, how do you broker a peace in the region?
He wants to talk about India this and India that. oh, Modi this and Modi that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is somebody that's been nicknamed the Butcher of Gujarat. This is somebody that was not allowed to set foot in this country. In America, he was simply not allowed. Only when he became a leader that he was allowed. And he was to talk about peace. How can you deal with such an individual whose literal nickname, his slogan is the Butcher of Gujarat? And he's telling me about his feelings. What about the feelings of the people of Kashmir? Every other year, they're dealing with massacres. Every other year, when they go to their courts, nothing gets done. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a debate. This is a lesson. This is a classroom. And this is the reality when it comes to the Kashmir issue. A lot of people say India is a good country. This happened last year. This happened a couple of months ago. They don't want to talk about what's been happening in Kashmir since 1990. Every other year, 100 plus people are being massacred again and again and again and again. No one remembers those names. Why? Because India is strategically beneficial when it comes to how the Western countries see it, because it's there as a counterweight to China. And a lot of these countries see geopolitical benefit when they want to jump in and help. The only reason Western countries are jumping in and talking about the Uyghurs is because it's against China. Unfortunately and sadly, that's how it is. They're not speaking in favor of Palestinians because obviously Israel is a strategic partner and a counterweight in the Middle East. We know this story, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to insult your intelligence by telling you these sorts of things. All I suggest is watch your Al Jazeera documentaries on Kashmir, educate yourselves, because Kashmir, day in, day out, is living under a military rule. Those people are now tired, they're silenced, they are now forgotten by the Ummah. Why? Because India has such a loud voice, because certain people have gone there and they've had a nice time there, they've lost a few people there. We lose people every year, ladies and gentlemen. Every single year. There are currently children that have been arrested by the police over there. No charge, disappeared, finished. What is he going to say about those? Can we get the hostages back? Because these people are hostages.
This mini smart camera is easy to install anywhere, no power or internet needed. View live footage.
So what you've got going on here is again what-ifism, yeah? You see, the Gujarat riots were the fact that there were some Hindu women who were brutally raped and murdered by Muslims who may not have been understanding their religion very well. Now, the Gujarat riots were one of the major tragedy of the Indian subcontinent. But again, we don't have anything to do with how to actually bring peace to the region, because it is almost certain that India will not strike Pakistan unless it has credible evidence. And it will have the evidence when there are many people, and I would say that there is candid, Lubna is mentioning this, is that there are many Pakistanis in Pakistan who want the Indians to intervene because they don't have a democracy. They have a military government. I would commend Imran Khan. I was there when India shot down a Pakistani plane. Pakistan shot down an India plane, and I would commend, stop. Imran Khan decided to release the Indian pilot. Imran Khan, do not heckle me. This is the same tactic used. Imran Khan decided to release the pilot. Imran Khan tried to make peace. Imran Khan paid the price by being put in jail. India is a democracy, whereas Pakistan is not. India, for its national security, has had, because of its elected government, to take hold of administration of Kashmir. And you can fact check this.
India is a democracy.
Yes.
That's the biggest
India.
joke I've heard in quite a while. And then he proceeds to say Pakistan.
is a military dictatorship.
He says it's not a democracy. It's not saying democracy is a measure of a person is right or wrong, but Pakistan is a democracy. And that's why Pakistan, I don't want to get into Pakistani politics, we're talking about Kashmir at this moment in time. However, he's talking about Imran Khan releasing the pilot. Well, I ask the Indians to release the Kashmiris from their grip. Can India do that? Can they release the amount of Kashmiris that they have illegally, under international law, locked up, that continue to torture them? Amnesty International, United Nations has spoken out against this and about this as well. He hasn't mentioned this. He keeps talking about his experience over there. Why do you not talk about the hostages that have been taken? Can we at least agree to initiate due process there, to have international observers going in and teaching India how to be and observe justice? Because they're absolutely incapable of this, ladies and gentlemen. And we've known this since 1947, since 1948. Everything else he's saying is just again and again the same old nonsense. It's not true, ladies and gentlemen. And that is why it is very important that we read up on these things and we understand these things. I have given numerous case studies of hundreds of Kashmiris being killed, and I haven't had him condemn any of them. I started this discussion clearly saying terrorist attack anywhere is wrong. It shouldn't happen. However, based upon the evidence that we have and based upon the history that India has had, tends to leverage such attacks for its own international gain.
I would ask you again to fact check. There are more Muslims in India than there are in Pakistan. Yet there are barely any Hindus and Christians left in Pakistan. Now, the government of... Stop heckling me. No, you haven't heckled zeshan here. The Indian government is democratically elected. And that government has decided to withdraw certain privileges in Kashmir because that government were allowing foreign terrorists to come into Kashmir, and you can fact check this. Now, the fact of the matter is that this man has brought up the Palestinian question and the Arab-Israeli conflict, because that's what I call it. Will he condemn Hamas and ask them to release the hostages? What he will engage in is but what ifism. Yes, it is a fact that Israel has detained people who they have clear evidence are engaging in terrorism. India is an elected government and so has applied direct rule over the Indian administered. Now, he has refused to answer any question whatsoever about how a peace is brokered there. But I have already told you that because Pakistan administered Kashmir has been ethnically cleansed over the years, a fair referendum now cannot happen. So, I am not the Indian government. I do not speak for them, but he has accused the Indian government of essentially allowing the Taj Mahal attacks to take place. And I find that very worrying.
Yes, absolutely. They allowed it to take place based upon the immense amount of warnings that they got. Raw knew, CIA knew of America. CIA, not CIA, the movie of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart. The actual CIA, not even that movie. If it was that movie, then I can expect them to get it wrong. But the actual CIA saying, India, by the way, an attack might happen. And it still happened. Then his second point was about partition. He's saying Pakistan is majority Muslim. Well, obviously, because when partition took place, it was supposed to be majority Muslims were supposed to be in Pakistan. That was done by design. Of course, it's going to be majority Muslims over there and not Hindus. Hindus are going to stay where they were. Sikhs were on the border. Some went across the border. Some stayed over here. Don't understand. Well, that's a very low-level argument, ladies and gentlemen. And even the Indians, yes, he said before, yeah, some of the Indians didn't want to go to Pakistan. Yes, and they're absolutely entitled to that. You don't have to go to Pakistan. You stay in India. They're happy staying in India. But that's not the point. He keeps bringing up Hamas. keeps bringing up Israel.
Condemn them.
That's got nothing to
Condemn
do with this
Hamas.
conversation.
You brought
That
it
could
up.
be a
You
second
brought it up.
conversation.
You brought it
Yeah,
up.
you not interrupt. I didn't interrupt you.
That's fine.
Yes, that could be a separate conversation. Yeah, in this conversation, can we stick with the points, the massacres that I've mentioned that have happened again and again and again?